What's going on, guys? It's Chris here. Welcome back to episode 4 of Learning R with Chris. So in the last video, we learned how to read in from a CSV into R your data. And in this video, we're going to talk about how to manipulate that data in nice ways using different functions borrowed from the tidyverse. So if you don't know how to do that kind of stuff, then make sure to watch my last videos. But basically, you're going to want to load in the tidyverse or install and load it in if you haven't already, and then read in this data or whatever data you guys want to follow along with. This data in particular will be in the description, so if you want to download that and follow along, you're welcome to do that. And it's just as a reminder, we have some type of small grocery store which has some food items which have a price, a variable whether they're healthy or not, and then what department that food comes from. All right, so I went ahead and did some commandments to load in the data into a table for us, or a data frame. I'll use the words data frame and table interchangeably. Basically the same thing. So if we take a look, it's nicely loaded in there. And the first function we're going to be going over is the slice function. So what that does is it will basically grab some rows or slice some rows out of your data frame or table for you. So if I wanted to grab, like, say, you can see the indices on the left here, say like the first 5 rows of my data, then I'd go slice my shop table, which is the variable name I gave for the data I loaded in, by the indices 1 through 5. And then you see here, that corresponds to the first 5 rows of my data there. So that's nice. You can also, you can even just give it like a vector of numeric values, like just arbitrary ones. They don't have to be in order. So the 7th one should correspond to bagel here, and it does. So we get the first 3, and then lastly the 7th entry as well. So that's the slice function, not the most useful one we'll cover today, but it's very simple. And you can use it for nice stuff. Like if you specify the indices as like random indexes or indices, then you can grab like a random sample from your data, which can be useful. More interestingly, though, is the filter function. So what does the filter function do? So common with all of these like tidy functions, the first argument is pretty much always going to be your data. So that's what we'll do. We'll give it our data. And what does the filter function do? Well, it will take rows not just by index, but by some condition, right? So for example, if I wanted only like healthy foods, then I'd say grab the rows or filter the rows where the healthy variable is equal to true. So very naturally, we can tell R how to do that by saying filter the shop table by our variable healthy is going to be true. So this is how you compare two things. So if the left is equal in some sense to the thing on the right, then this whole thing will evaluate to true, and it'll return that row from the shop table. So we can do that, and then we see from our original table we grabbed exactly the rows that had the healthy variable equal to true, and you can do this on like multiple conditions as well. So if you want to do such that this condition is true and the next condition is true, then you use this AND operator. Or if you wanted to do OR, this is the symbol for OR. And then, so I can do an explicit example for you guys. So say we wanted to do the rows where healthy is true and the department's produce, so it should output the first row there. So, and produce is equal to, and department is equal to produce. And it does that filter very nicely for us. So that's nice. The next one we'll look at is the selection operator. So we want to select from our data frame. And what the selection one does is it grabs columns of interest. So say for whatever reason we don't care about the department anymore, we only care about the item, the price, and whether it's healthy or not. So this can be useful for like shrinking your data that has like tons of columns to just stuff you care about. So say we don't want the department, then we can say select from my shop table the columns, and then you can just give it a character vector with the columns that you want. So we want item, price, and healthy. And as you can see, still the same number of rows, but we went ahead and cut off the department one there. So that's nice. Really simple one there. Don't need to go into too much more detail about that function. The next one we'll talk about, though, is the mutate function. So this will actually add another column onto your tibble as a function of the other columns. So that kind of sounds like a little bit of like nonsense without an example. So if we go mutate my shop tibble, and then the first thing we'll write here is what we want the new column's name to be. So say we want to, like, I don't know, raise all the prices of the items by 20 cents because, you know, times are tough, inflation, we're getting stingier. So we want to say our new price is going to be equal to the old price plus 20 cents. And then we can see here very nicely we have a new column called new price, and it has the old column price plus 20 cents. And if you want to like keep these changes, so since we just typed this command and didn't tell R where to put it, it just output it to the console. But if we want to like actually keep this, like if you look at the object declared in our in the top right here in our environment, then you can see like it didn't actually update the prices, right? That's because we just output it to the console. But to actually keep them, you have to say actually reassign your shop tibble the results of this operation here. So I'll go ahead and copy paste that. And as you can see, now we have the fifth column added nicely for us there. So that's nice. If you actually don't want this new column, but you maybe just want to like update the price column so that you don't have like, you know, in a sense redundant data, then you can do that. You can basically just say this, and this looks a bit less readable, but it basically says my new price. This one refers to your new price. This one refers to your old price plus 20 cents. And then if we look at it again, then these are the same. And then finally, to get rid of the redundant new price, we can just use the selection operator that we learned earlier. So select from the shop tibble, and then just take everything but the new price. And if you want to specify like everything like but one column, you can use like a minus sign in front of the character vector. So if we say like minus and then indicate our character vector just with new price, this means I just want to drop this one column. So you can see that it gets rid of it, and then we can reassign that to our shop table variable here. Oops. And there we go, back to normal. So that's nice. That's the mutate function, really useful one there. It comes up more often than you'd think, like wanting a new column as a function of the other columns. And then I guess I can show you guys the arrange function. So these rows, or this tibble is organized kind of like arbitrarily right now. It doesn't really have much order to it, but I don't know, say we wanted to look at this table in order of price. So to do that, you use the arrange function. As always, first argument's your data, and then the second argument and other arguments after is things you want to arrange by. So very simply, we can just say arrange the shop tibble by price, and it'll by default go in ascending order. If you want it in descending order, then you can wrap it with this descending function, and it acts as you'd expect. You can also do it by like more than one thing. So say for these prices are tied right now, right? And these ones as well. They're kind of ordered arbitrarily as it is, but if you wanted to say, I don't know, order it alphabetically by department after for things that tie for price, you can do that as well. So you can continue listing things to order it by after the first thing that you order it by. And then if we look at it here, then these things tie, but since E comes before R in the alphabet, it listed Red Bull before bagels here. So that's the arrange function. Lastly, I just want to show you guys the pipe operator. So basically the motivation for this is, say we want to do more than one of these operations at a time. So if we go back to where we had, I don't know, let's say our mutate operator here, and maybe we only care about the first 3 columns, so we want to also do the selection. Well, it looks a little bit unreadable if we take this whole command and we like nest it inside of the mutate function. So like I'll just show you guys what that looks like. So right now we just want to give it the shop tibble, but if we want to give it the result of the selection operator that just grabbed the first 3 columns, then look at that, like you can't even barely tell what's going on. And this is just with 2 functions, right? Like you have to kind of decipher what exactly you're inputting for data. So I can show you guys that this works. So we did get rid of the department and we have our new price here, as we'd expect, but it's just for readability purposes that this, what motivated the pipe operator. So what the pipe does is, if we wanted to say, like take this thing and put it on the outside just so it's a bit more readable, then we can do that. So basically you can take what you want the first argument to be, and you basically pipe it in the sense that this will become the first argument of whatever you pipe it to. So this will be the data for this argument. So basically you get the same thing, right? As you would if you just did the mutate function normally. So this pipe operator can actually turn something really gross like this, this nested function into something that looks like this. So you can kind of see what's going on here, right? It's like I want to select from my shop tibble these columns, and then I want to send the output of that, or pipe the output of that to this mutate function. And then instead of having this this big old mess here, we have something a bit more readable, a bit nicer, and that's always good. So that's basically it for this video. Hopefully I showed you guys some basic stuff for data manipulation in R, using some very useful functions that are found in the tidyverse. So not sure what we're covering on the next time, but stay tuned.